Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to hear my trading and market updates. This is Uncle Frank, and I'm not a financial advisor, nor is any of the content to be construed as financial advice. This channel is for entertainment purposes only. Please remember to hit the like button if you enjoyed the presentation, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you're alerted when I have new information to share. So now let's get into the latest updates. Hey, welcome back, everyone. I have some killer stuff to share with you in this episode, including remarks from a big Hollywood insider about the writers and actors strike you won't get anywhere else. But now, let's kick it off with a look into what's in store for the coming week, starting with the morning brief from Yahoo Finance. Earnings season will be in full swing in the week ahead. Results from Bank of America, Goldman Sachs will provide a further look at how the financial system is handling the fallout from a string of bank failures in the spring. On Wednesday, Netflix and Tesla will be the first of the tech giants fueling this year's market rally to report second quarter results. On the economic data front, retail sales data for June, home builder sentiment, and the latest read on housing starts will feature on a quieter economic calendar. Last week, the U.S. economy checked all the right boxes as data showed inflation increasing at the slowest pace since March of 2021, while consumer sentiment hit the highest level in nearly 2 years. Those positive reads, coupled with strong earnings from JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and Delta Airlines, helped send stocks higher. The tech-heavy NASDAQ had its best week since March, rising more than 3.3%. Meanwhile, the benchmark S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average each rose about 2.3%. Financials kicked off earnings season on Friday, telling two different stories about the banking system. Large institutions like JP and Wells Fargo topped analyst expectations as JP reported a 67% increase in profits in the second quarter. But as Yahoo Finance's Dave Hollerith points out, both of these institutions have large consumer franchises and benefit from things like increased credit card borrowing. Meanwhile, Citigroup, which relies more heavily on investment banking, saw revenues decline 1% from last year. Citi stock fell more than 4% on the news. Quote, the long-awaited rebound in investment banking has yet to materialize, Citigroup CEO Jane Fraser said in a release, making for a disappointing quarter. Before we proceed, let's talk a little more about Citi, shall we? Now, this slide depicts the team that Adam Aron put together to handle the APE conversion, mass dilution, and reverse split, which resulted in a class action lawsuit in Delaware that we're all waiting to hear the final decision on, right? I'm hearing the judge is presiding over another trial that is expected to end Tuesday the 18th of this week, so I'm not expecting anything yet until after that case wraps, but anything can happen. So let's start at the top with the leader of our board of directors, Philip Lader, senior advisor to Morgan Stanley Institutional Trading, with a daughter that's in senior management at Uniswap, where AMC tokenized securities were found to be trading. He hasn't bought a single share of AMC over the past 5 years, but sold out near the top. By the close of last year, Morgan Stanley had $123 billion in securities sold, yet not purchased. So I'm sure our little ape deal is far more important to Phil than that. Adam went out of his way to add Phil to the ape conversion pricing committee, and then there's Citi, our investment banker, the actual underwriter of ape, a short seller of AMC, a company with a sell recommendation on AMC from this month with a price target of $1.65. As of the close of 2022, Citi had $183 billion in securities sold under agreements to repurchase. We should just hire Credit Suisse or Citadel for this gig. And then there's Antara Capital, the guys we gave ape to for 65 cents that sell 1 to 3 million ape per day. They're facing federal securities litigations seeking the return of its alleged short swing profits. The lawsuit, filed by two AMC investors, accuses the hedge fund, its affiliates, and founder, Himanshu Gulati, of making more than $20 million on sales of APE units and AMC common stock purchased less than 6 months earlier. Federal securities law requires corporate leaders and major stockholders to give such short swing profits back to the company, a rule meant to curb insider trading. Now, Antara was launched in 2018 with money from Blackstone. Those were the guys that back in 2015, along with KKR and TPG Capital, agreed to pay $325 million to settle litigation alleging they colluded to keep leverage buyout prices low. Let me repeat that. Colluded to keep leverage buyout prices low. Earlier this year, Blackstone admitted it was part of the SEC's texting sweep case. Last month, the law firm Scott & Scott is investigating whether members of Blackstone's board of directors or senior management failed to manage Blackstone in an acceptable manner, in breach of their fiduciary duties to Blackstone, and whether Blackstone and its shareholders suffered damages as a result. Of course, Antara is also listed as a current short seller of AMC, and many apes believe that Adam Aron may have colluded with Antara to rig the recent shareholder vote. Guys, I don't know what to say. I don't know why yes voters are angry with no voters for pointing these things out. Astonishing. It's astonishing. But enough about all that. Uncle Frank was watching everything to do with Ripple XRP all weekend, and all you need to do is peek inside my atlas to see what I've been focused on. From Milk Road, the somewhat favorable ruling for Ripple in its case versus the SEC was the rising tide that lifted all boats this week. XRP pumped 65% on the news. After a slow start to the week for Bitcoin and Ethereum, the spillover of the Ripple news was enough to push them into the green this week. I am very excited about the prospects for Ripple XRP going forward. And here's a piece from Wall Street Breakfast that I definitely want my subscribers to know about. Fed Reserve members will be in a blackout period ahead of the Fed Reserve's meeting scheduled for July 25th and 26th. At the time of this publication, the probability of a rate hike at the July meeting had risen to 92% based on the Fed funds futures trading. Looking ahead, Seeking Alpha investing group Leaderstone Fox Capital said the signs inflation problems are coming to an end and rate hikes are nearly over, has the Russell 2000 stocks rallying after a big rally in the major indexes of large cap stocks focused on the Magnificent Seven. The advice doled out is that investors should have a preference for small cap stocks in the Russell 2000. And now a headline from Zero Hedge. Number of virus outbreaks on cruise ships surging, according to the CDC. In an update posted several days ago, the federal agency is now listing 13 outbreaks of norovirus on cruise ships this year, which is the highest number of outbreaks recorded on cruises since 2012. The most recent reported norovirus outbreak was on June 20 on a Viking cruise ship in which about 120 passengers and crew members reported being ill out of about 1,200 people who were on board. Viking Cruises recently told the Wall Street Journal that it believes the viral outbreak originated from a shoreside restaurant in Iceland, where a group of guests dined during their free time rather than from someone on the ship. There were only 4 norovirus outbreaks on cruise ships during all of 2022, even as demand for cruises surged after COVID-19 pandemic lockdowns. Fed officials estimate that norovirus infects between 19 and 21 million people each year on average. So, Uncle Frank, why are you bringing this up? Well, I'll explain. I don't trust the government, the CDC, politicians, the markets, regulators, Wall Street, and it's my job to keep an eye on all their BS, especially while AMC is in court, Writers and actors are on strike, and people are charging my business with suppressing a movie about child trafficking and threatening a boycott similar to what happened to Bud Light. So you may not like everything you hear on this channel, but I will make you this promise. You won't be surprised if something happens, because Uncle Frank will cover the uncomfortable when it comes to our money. So in light of how the CDC and our government behaved during the pandemic, I will make you aware every time they open their mouths. And speaking of cruise lines, how is Adam's old firm Norwegian doing without him? I think it's a fair question. Cruise lines suffered from the pandemic just like theater stocks did. They're typically included in the same sector. Well, NCLH is up over 77% over the past year. How we doing? At what point will you start to hold this guy responsible for at least some of our stock's performance? I do know one thing for sure. The pandemic has worked out very well for Adam Aron and Antara, just not so well for us. Now, it just so happens that Uncle Frank went to school with a big Hollywood agent, and I won't name him here, but he represents actors, directors, scriptwriters. He gets to go to the Oscars, and he deliberately tells me what's going to happen on my favorite shows a week before I get to see them. But my boy had the following text comment on the strike, so I thought I'd share his opinion here with you. The theory is, with SAG and WGA both out on strike, it'll push the hand of the producers to get back to the table with the WGA and get a deal done, and or to stick it to the Writers Guild, make a quick, fast, lucrative deal with SAG and leave the writers out there hanging until September, October. My guesstimate, this is over after Labor Day and everyone goes back to work. Okay, guys, we need this to go away, and we need it to go away now. Headline from Newsweek. Sound of Freedom outrage puts spotlight on AMC CEO's Clinton ties. Claims that AMC Theaters is disrupting showings of the film Sound of Freedom recently implied that AMC CEO had ties to President Bill Clinton. Rumors abounded on Twitter that the theater chain was purposefully attempting to keep viewers from seeing Sound of Freedom despite the movie's stunning box office numbers, which is good news to me. The movie, which is produced by and based on the life of anti-child sex traffic campaigner Tim Ballard, beat Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny at the box office on its day of release, July 4. However, claims on Twitter allege that the theater is trying to suppress viewership by a bizarre strategy, such as disrupting showtimes with technical difficulties and broken air conditioning. One of the most recent conspiracy theories alleges that the theater is suppressing viewership because AMC CEO Adam Aron has ties to Clinton, who also has ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, who died in prison in 2019. The conspiracy theories have fueled calls to boycott the theater chain. Okay, one of the tweets points out that Adam Aron was a delegate to President Clinton's 1995 White House Conference on Travel and Tourism. Obviously, the leader of our board of directors is a participant with the World Economic Forum. None of this information is really new, but a boycott is the last thing that we need, so I hope we can stomp this out pretty quick. And we're getting some mixed messages from the same author at Variety. Headline: Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning launches with mighty $235 million globally, including $155 million debut at international box office. From the article, Tom Cruise's latest blockbuster, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, is showing strength at the international box office, collecting an impressive $155 million from 70 markets. Along with an estimated $80 million at the domestic box office, Mission Impossible has grossed $235 million globally through its first 5 days of release. That's a mighty worldwide tally, especially for the 7th installment in a 27-year-old action franchise. IMAX screens contributed $25 million, including a new franchise record of $14 million overseas. And then another headline from the same author. Box office Mission Impossible 7 falls short of expectations with $56 million debut, collects $80 million over 5 days. All right, if you apes haven't gone and seen the film, let's get out there and blow this thing up. Today, I saved the best for last. My longtime friend, Crypto Carl Reba, sent me this analysis on XRP this morning. I'd like to thank Carl, who dragged me into XRP kicking and screaming years ago. From the article, experts project a 2,400% XRP rise to 18 based on XRP dips and pumps. It continues, XRP may have faced opposition in its latest rally, but an analyst foresees a price pump to 18 if a particular historical pattern continues to play out. XRP has dropped 22% from the high of 93 cents. However, John, a technical analyst, recently made a bold price projection. According to the analyst, if a specific pattern continues to unfold, XRP could experience an ultimate pump to 18. John's analysis references a historical pattern riddled with a series of price dips and pumps on the XRP daily chart. Now, as you know, I will never recommend you buy, sell, or hold any security or cryptocurrency. I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. But the next milestone Uncle Frank is looking for is for XRP to take out its all-time high of 384 back in early 2018. Hey, I want to thank you for watching, and please remember to hit the like button after this slide if you enjoyed the presentation. Subscribe to the channel and set the alert so you're notified when I have new information to share. See you at the bell.